1. Success is not a finish line, it's a work ethic. You don't arrive at greatness, you build it daily. Just because you've achieved something doesn't mean the work is over. In fact, that's when the real work begins. The problem with success is it can seduce you into thinking you've made it. But real champions, they show up like they still have everything to prove. You've got to grind like the bills are due, like the lights could be cut off tomorrow, like you're still hungry, and I mean soul hungry. Because the moment you relax, comfort becomes your enemy. And when comfort moves in, progress checks out. Keep working like you're broke, because that mindset, that hunger, that's what made you unstoppable in the first place. 2. Comfort is a liar. Stay hungry, stay dangerous. Comfort whispers in your ear, you've done enough. It tells you to slow down, to take it easy. But that voice is the enemy of greatness. You've got to stay uncomfortable enough to keep reaching, to keep climbing. Don't let a little success become your ceiling. The moment you start acting like you've got it all, you start losing it all. The moment you stop running like you're in last place is the moment you get overtaken. Keep working like you're broke, because when you're broke, you're dangerous, you're focused, you're fearless. Don't let the grind go soft. Stay sharp, stay hungry, stay dangerous. 3. Hustle like nobody knows your name. The world may see your highlight reel, but only you know the hustle behind the scenes. So don't get caught up in applause, attention, or accolades. None of that pays your rent tomorrow. None of that makes you better today. When nobody was watching, you were building. When nobody clapped, you kept moving. That's the energy you keep. Hustle like your name is still unknown. Grind like no one's giving you a shot. Work like you're still trying to earn the seat you're sitting in, because the second you stop proving it to yourself, you start losing it for yourself. 4. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you dream to be. Dreams are free, but discipline is expensive. And if you want to cross the gap from potential to purpose, you've got to pay in full, every day. No shortcuts, no cheat codes. The ones who keep working like they're broke, they understand that the hustle isn't seasonal, it's sacred. Talent opens doors, but discipline keeps you in the room. Keep doing the push-ups when no one's looking. Keep studying when the world's asleep. Keep sacrificing when it hurts. That's how you build a legacy, not just a lifestyle. Keep working like you're broke, because that mindset pays dividends long after the crowd is gone. Success is not a finish line, it's a work ethic. There is a dangerous illusion that creeps into the minds of those who've tasted even a small bite of success. The illusion says, you've arrived. It tells you that the battle is over, the storm has passed, and now it's time to cruise. That illusion is the enemy. That illusion has ruined more futures than failure ever could. The truth is that success is never a finish line. It is a rhythm, a habit, a posture, a way of life. It is a work ethic relentless, unshakable, and stubborn in the face of comfort. The people who win in the long run are not those who celebrated their victories the loudest, but those who quietly kept showing up long after the crowd stopped cheering. To work like you're broke doesn't mean you pretend you have nothing. It means you remember what it felt like to have to earn every inch. It means you stay tapped into the version of yourself that was hungry, that was desperate to change your reality, that was fighting for more. That version of you didn't wait to be motivated. That version of you didn't expect a handout or a shortcut. That version of you made sacrifices when it was hard, not just when it was convenient. And if you lose touch with that version of yourself, you begin to decline, not because the opportunity disappeared, but because your edge got dull, you got soft, you got seduced by your own comfort. Every great breakthrough is followed by a crossroads. You can either keep pressing forward with the same intensity that got you here, or you can get comfortable. You can maintain the hunger that once consumed you, or you can believe you've done enough. But understand this, what got you here won't keep you here. The hustle that helped you build the house is the same hustle required to maintain it. You don't get to pause just because you reached a goal. Goals are milestones, not destinations, and the climb is never over. Consider the mindset of someone who's broke. They don't have the luxury of wasting time. They can't afford to procrastinate. They don't have the room to coast through a day. Every hour matters. Every choice is deliberate. Every mistake costs something. That's a powerful state to operate from. It breeds urgency. It demands discipline. It forces clarity. And it fuels perseverance. Now, take that energy and imagine what happens when you combine it with resources, experience, and wisdom. That's when power is multiplied. But when comfort replaces urgency, when entitlement replaces effort, you lose the very engine that made you valuable in the first place. People don't fall off because they lack talent. They fall off because they start believing the hype. They start thinking they can outpace the grind. They want the results without the repetition. But success doesn't live in a moment, it lives in the pattern. It lives in the boring. It lives in the daily choice to show up, lock in, and give your best, even when nobody's watching. Especially when nobody's watching. That's the difference between someone who flashes for a season and someone who builds for a lifetime. The real ones don't just work when it's exciting, they work when it's exhausting. They don't just work when they're inspired, they work because they're committed. When you keep working like you're broke, you strip away the pride that comes with recognition. You remind yourself that there's always another level. You stay coachable, you stay hungry, you stay grateful. It's easy to become arrogant when people start clapping. It's easy to take shortcuts when you've proven something. But the work doesn't care about your resume. The mission doesn't care about your reputation. The moment you stop respecting the grind, it stops respecting you. The difference between greatness and average isn't always talent, it's mindset. The great ones understand that the grind is permanent. They don't chase easy, they chase growth. And growth requires pressure. Growth requires pain. Growth requires repetition. You've got to fall in love with doing the work without needing a reward. You've got to be the type who pushes just as hard when the lights are off. That's the price. That's the tax of greatness. That's the grind that doesn't stop just because things are going well. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen is a little bit of success. Because once you get a taste of comfort, the hunger starts fading. But success is fragile. Momentum is temporary. You don't maintain it by accident. You maintain it by discipline. You maintain it by obsession. You maintain it by remembering what it felt like when you had nothing to fall back on. That's why you keep working like you're broken, not because you don't have more, but because you refuse to settle for less than your best. When you look around and see people slowing down, taking their foot off the gas, convincing themselves they've earned the right to ease up, don't follow them. Keep your pace, keep your focus, keep your fire. Let them celebrate while you cultivate. Let them rest while you reinforce. Because the ones who keep moving when everyone else gets complacent are the ones who dominate when the season shifts. The drought always comes. The dry season always returns. And only those who kept planting while others partied will have a harvest worth reaping. Working like you're broke isn't about fear, it's about fight. It's about drive. It's about commitment to the process, not just the prize. Because if you only work when there's a promise of reward, you're not truly working, you're just chasing a feeling. But if you can keep showing up day after day, grinding when it's lonely, pushing when it's painful, and staying locked in even when it's not glamorous, then you've stepped into the realm of greatness. Not because of what you achieve, but because of who you've become. No one becomes extraordinary by accident. It takes a radical level of discipline to show up like you're broke when the fridge is full, the bills are paid, and your name holds weight. But that's the test. That's the measure of maturity. Can you keep grinding like you're chasing something, even when others think you've arrived? Can you keep preparing like the opportunity hasn't come yet? Can you keep learning like you're still a beginner? That's what separates the elite from everyone else. Entitlement is the beginning of the end. The moment you believe you've done enough is the moment you start falling behind. The moment you think you're owed something is the moment you lose the fire to earn it. That's why you've got to wake up every day and remind yourself, I'm still building, I'm still grinding, I'm still chasing. Not because I'm desperate, but because I'm determined. Because I know that comfort breeds complacency, and complacency kills potential. The work you did yesterday earns you nothing today. That's the truth. Yesterday's grind doesn't pay today's dues. You've got to clock in again. You've got to lock in again. You've got to prove it again. That's what keeps you sharp. That's what keeps you excellent. That's what keeps you dangerous. You can't ride the wave of past accomplishments. Waves crash. Momentum fades. But consistency? That's the foundation. That's the secret. That's the weapon. There are people out there with less talent than you who are doing more with it simply because they're hungrier. They outwork the comfortable, they outlast the talented, and they outperform the lazy. Why? Because they still work like they're broke. They don't have time to stunt. They don't have time to show off. They're too busy building, too focused on the mission. That's the mindset you've got to carry. Every day, every season, no matter how far you've come, when you keep working like you're broke, you don't just build success, you build character, you build muscle, you build depth, you learn how to endure, you learn how to adapt, you learn how to lead. You learn how to stay calm under pressure, how to focus when it's chaotic, how to stay grateful when it's hard. That's what makes you unshakable. That's what makes you rare. And while others are chasing validation, you're chasing improvement. While they want followers, you want foundation. While they post highlights, you're living in the shadows, grinding, building, evolving. You understand that the goal isn't to impress people, it's to impact them. It's to leave something that lasts. And that only happens when you outwork your excuses, outlast the trends, and outperform your past self every single day. There's a certain look in the eye of someone who hasn't forgotten where they came from, a fire that doesn't die, a grit that doesn't shake. They remember the struggle, they remember the pressure, and they use it, they harness it. That energy becomes fuel, that pain becomes power, that fight becomes focus. So don't run from your past, reach for it. Don't bury your struggle, build with it. That's what working like you're broke does. It keeps you close to the ground, it keeps you rooted, it keeps you grateful. The grind doesn't stop for applause. The grind doesn't slow down for compliments. It keeps moving, and if you want to keep rising, you've got to move with it. Every day you wake up, you've got to look at yourself and say, I'm not done, I'm not finished, I'm still hungry. Because the moment you stop chasing better, you start settling for less. And settling never leads to success. Settling leads to stagnation. And stagnation is where dreams go to die. The ones who endure, who elevate, who evolve, they don't work because they have to. They work because they're built that way. They work because they've seen what it feels like to have nothing, and they never want to lose the fire that got them out. They don't chase motivation, they chase purpose. And that purpose drives them through seasons of drought, disappointment, and delay. That's why they win. Not because it's easy, but because they refuse to stop. Keep working like you're broke. Not because you are, but because you know that mindset is the key to everything. Comfort is a liar. Stay hungry, stay dangerous. There's a quiet trap that creeps into the life of every dreamer who starts tasting progress. It doesn't come with warning signs. It doesn't crash through the door like a storm. No, it slides in subtle, like a whisper. It tells you to relax, to ease up, to slow your roll. It tells you that you've earned it. It comes dressed like a reward, but underneath, it's a thief. It robs you of your edge, your urgency, your fight. That whisper is called comfort, and comfort is a liar. Comfort will never tell you you're getting weaker. It will never alert you that your grip is slipping or that your fire is fading. It'll just rock you gently into mediocrity while you think you're still progressing. It tells you to be content, but it's not the kind of contentment that brings peace. It's the kind that puts you to sleep. It doesn't matter how high you've climbed or how many wins you've stacked. The moment you start letting comfort call the shots is the moment your decline begins. And here's the thing, decline rarely announces itself. It doesn't happen in a dramatic fall. It happens in the slow fade, in the skipped reps, in the ignored details, in the moments when you say, I'll get back to it tomorrow. Staying hungry isn't about desperation. It's about discipline. It's about refusing to let your past victories pacify your present grind. Hunger is the fuel of every significant achievement. It's what drives the late nights, the early mornings, the double shifts. It's what makes you dig deeper when others are backing off. Hunger sees possibilities when others see problems. It takes pressure and turns it into purpose. It takes fatigue and turns it into focus. That's why staying hungry matters, because the alternative is to fall asleep with your eyes wide open. When you're hungry, you don't wait to be pushed, you push yourself. You don't need a cheerleader because your goals are loud enough. You don't have time to be jealous of someone else's success because you're too focused on your mission. The hungry don't gossip, they grind. They don't complain, they calculate. They don't coast, they climb. When you're hungry, everything becomes an opportunity to grow. Every setback, every struggle, every failure. Nothing is wasted. You feed on the pressure, and you let it sculpt you into something sharper, something stronger. But staying hungry requires intentionality. It requires that you constantly remind yourself what's at stake. You've got to replay the moments that broke you. Remember the seasons where you had to hustle just to survive. Think back to the days where no one returned your calls, no doors opened, no one believed in you. Those moments matter. Not because they define you, but because they sharpen you. They remind you why you started, why you endured, why you can't afford to slow down now. See, hunger is not an emotion, it's a mindset. Emotions come and go. Hunger stays. Emotions depend on circumstance. Hunger is independent of convenience. You don't feel hungry only when things are hard. You stay hungry even when things are good. That's the discipline. That's the danger. When someone is still operating like they've got nothing to lose, even after they've won, they become dangerous. You can't predict them. You can't outwork them. You can't outlast them. They're not in it for applause. They're in it for impact. There's a danger in applause. It tells you you've done enough. It tells you you made it. But no one who's truly made it thinks they've made it. Because the moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop moving. Success is not a place, it's a pace. It's not a chair to sit in, it's a call to stand up and keep going. The people who stay dangerous are the ones who act like every room they walk into owes them nothing. They're not impressed by their own resume. They're not waiting for praise, they're driven by purpose. And purpose doesn't retire. When you operate like you've got everything to lose, you approach every opportunity with reverence. You're on time, you're focused, you don't disrespect the process. You're grateful, but you're not satisfied. That balance, grateful but not satisfied, the secret to staying dangerous. It keeps your heart soft and your hands working. It keeps your spirit humble and your feet moving. You celebrate, but you don't stop. You reflect, but you don't retreat. You honor what's behind you, but you fight for what's ahead of you. Don't be fooled by people who talk more than they work. Hunger doesn't make announcements. It just shows up and puts in the reps. It keeps showing up long after the cameras are gone. It does the unseen work that the world forgets to applaud. The most dangerous people in any room are the ones who are still working like they're unknown. They don't wait for opportunity, they prepare for it. They don't beg for permission, they build regardless. That's the kind of energy that changes things. That's the kind of hunger that never dies. You've got to protect your hunger from distractions. Protect it from people who've stopped dreaming. Protect it from voices that tell you to slow down, settle down, shrink down. Protect it from pride that says you've done enough. Protect it from fear that tells you you're not ready. Hunger doesn't care about perfect conditions, it moves regardless. It builds in the rain. It prepares in the drought. It plans while others panic. And that's what makes it dangerous. Not just that it wants something, but that it's willing to work for it no matter the cost. And let's be real, this journey isn't always glamorous. Staying hungry means doing things that don't make headlines. It means waking up early when you're exhausted. It means staying late when no one notices. It means saying no to distractions when no one would blame you for saying yes. It means taking losses and still showing up with intensity. It means holding yourself accountable when no one else will. That's the grind that builds unshakable character. That's the grind that separates the real from the ready-made. Comfort wants to convince you that you can slow down now, that you've proven enough, that you can coast a little. But coasting leads to compromise. It dulls your instincts. It lowers your standards. And before long, you're not the same version of yourself. You're slower, softer, quieter. That's why hunger must be protected. You don't lose your fire all at once. It dims gradually. Stay ahead of the fade. Stay hungry on purpose. Build rituals that keep you grounded. Set reminders that wake you up. Create environments that challenge you, not just celebrate you. Stay around people who are going somewhere. People who don't just talk about dreams but execute them. People who live in the stretch zone. People who make you uncomfortable in the best way possible. Iron sharpens iron, not feathers. You need friction. You need accountability. You need challenge. Because nothing great is built in isolation. And no one stays hungry in a room full of people who've already decided to stop eating. You have to make peace with pressure. Understand that pressure isn't the problem, comfort is. Pressure is what creates diamonds. It exposes weaknesses. It reveals cracks. It shows you what you need to fix, sharpen, or remove. Most people run from pressure because they don't want to be exposed. But if you want to grow, you've got to lean into it. Welcome it. Invite it. Let it shape you. The ones who stay hungry don't avoid the fire, they step into it. Because they know the fire isn't there to burn them, it's there to build them. And when it gets hard, and it will, you have to remember why you started. You have to keep your why in front of you like a compass. Because when the journey feels long, when the progress feels slow, when the rewards feel distant, your why will remind you that it's worth it. The dream doesn't stop being real just because the process gets hard. The goal doesn't stop being worthy just because the grind feels overwhelming. You didn't start this to quit halfway. You didn't sacrifice just to settle. You didn't endure all that pain just to get comfortable. There is more in you than comfort will ever demand. Comfort asks for nothing. Growth demands everything. Comfort keeps you safe. Hunger makes you strong. Comfort asks you to survive. Hunger dares you to thrive. The choice is yours every single day. You either feed your hunger or feed your comfort. You either chase growth or settle for routine. You either keep building or start breaking down. Staying hungry is about vision. It's about seeing beyond the moment and believing that the best is still in front of you. It's refusing to let what you've built so far become a prison that stops you from building more. It's choosing to see every day as another chance to get better, to dig deeper, to rise higher. It's knowing that no matter how far you've come, there's still more ground to cover, still more battles to fight, still more victories to earn. The most dangerous version of you isn't the one who has it all figured out. It's the one who's still learning, still pushing, still fighting like there's something to prove. That version is lethal. That version is sharp. That version doesn't flinch in the face of adversity. It adapts, it adjusts, it attacks. That version knows that comfort kills, but hunger heals. Hunger refines. hunger transforms. So when you feel the pull to slow down, to relax, to drift, resist it. When comfort calls, don't answer. When average feels easier, remember who you are. You didn't come this far just to get here. You didn't build all this just to let it slip. You are not finished. You are not done. You are not replaceable. You are not mediocre. You are built for more. And the only thing standing between you and your next level is your ability to stay hungry and stay dangerous. Don't let success make you soft hustle like you're still climbing. The most dangerous moment in your journey isn't when you're broke, broken, or overlooked. It's when you finally gain some ground, when the phone starts ringing, when the money starts coming in, when people start clapping. That's the moment when most people get soft, because success can be a sedative if you're not careful. It can soothe you into stagnation. It can trick you into thinking the fight is over. But the truth is, the fight never ends. The moment you stop hustling like you're still climbing is the moment you start falling. You may not see it right away, but slowly, subtly, you'll lose your grip, lose your edge, lose the raw hunger that got you there in the first place. See, when you were broke, you were desperate. When you had nothing, you were creative. You made something out of nothing. You stretched every dollar. You outworked the competition. You stayed up late not because you had to, but because you wanted to. You studied, you strategized, you sacrificed, and all of that hustle became the foundation for your rise. But now that you've achieved something, what's your excuse? What's keeping that fire burning now? Are you still fighting like your future depends on it? Or have you let comfort sneak in and start calling the shots? Here's the hard truth. Success doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are. When the pressure of poverty is lifted, when the applause gets louder, when the options get broader, that's when your character gets tested. Not when you're down, but when you're up. Will you keep the same habits, the same urgency, the same focus? Or will you start cutting corners because you think you've earned the right to coast? You've got to stay sharp, stay vigilant, stay rooted in the same grind that got you here. You can't let your foot off the gas just because you're no longer running on fumes. The climb isn't over just because you reached one summit. There's always another mountain, another level, another mission. And if you want to stay relevant, if you want to keep growing, you've got to hustle like the scoreboard still says 0. Let's be real, some people only know how to hustle when they're desperate. They wait for the pain to push them. They wait for the struggle to light their fire. But the truly great ones, they don't wait. They stay lit. They keep grinding, even when they're winning. They don't need crisis to stay consistent. They don't need lack to stay focused. They've trained their minds to reject complacency, no matter how much success they've stacked. That's the mindset you need. You've got to hustle like you're still climbing even when you're on top. You know what separates champions from one-hit wonders? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the ability to keep showing up with the same intensity, year after year. The ability to prepare like they're still the underdog, to train like they've still got something to prove. Because the minute you start thinking you've arrived, you stop growing, you stop learning, you stop evolving. And the world doesn't slow down just because you did. Staying sharp after success is a choice. It's a daily decision to humble yourself, to stay teachable, to never let your hunger be replaced with ego. Ego will lie to you. It will whisper, you've done enough, you've paid your dues. But excellence doesn't operate on dues, it operates on discipline. You don't earn your way out of the work. You don't graduate from the grind. You don't retire from being excellent. Every day is day one. Every morning is a fresh chance to prove that you're still built for it. You've got to keep standards higher than your surroundings. Just because others are slowing down doesn't mean you should. Just because others are satisfied doesn't mean you should be. Mediocrity loves company, but greatness walks alone. So, walk alone if you must. Stay focused even when no one's watching. Keep pushing even when there's no pressure. That's what makes you unshakable. That's what keeps you dangerous. The problem is, people love the idea of success, but they don't love the responsibility that comes with sustaining it. Because success isn't just about having more, it's about becoming more disciplined, more self-aware, more relentless, more intentional. And if you're not willing to evolve, your success will become your ceiling instead of your platform. You'll be trapped in the version of you that got the win, instead of becoming the version of you that's ready for the next one. Hustling like you're still climbing means rejecting entitlement. It means showing up early when you don't have to, practicing harder when no one's keeping score. Preparing like the opportunity hasn't come yet, even though it already has. It's not a game you play once, it's a mindset you carry for life. Because the hustle isn't just about achievement, it's about alignment. Alignment with your values, alignment with your calling, alignment with the standard you promised yourself you'd live by. When you were broke, your vision wasn't blurry. You knew what you were fighting for. You could feel it in your bones. Don't lose that now. Don't let comfort make you forget the clarity you once had. Go back and remember what it felt like to be overlooked, to be counted out, to have to fight for every inch. Remember the nights you couldn't sleep because the dream kept chasing you. That's who you really are. That's the part of you that can't be bought, can't be faked, can't be replaced. That's the part of you that built this. Don't bury it under comfort. Success should make you sharper, not softer. Stronger, not slower. It should increase your urgency, not decrease it. You've got more resources now? Greatest them to multiply your hustle. You've got more connections now? Good, use them to accelerate your grind. You've got more influence now? Perfect, choose it to serve others, not sit back and coast. Comfort tells you to rest in the spotlight. Hustle tells you to keep building behind the scenes. There's always another level, always another skill to develop, another weakness to address, another relationship to strengthen. And if you stay humble, if you stay hungry, if you keep working like you're still climbing, you'll keep rising. Because success doesn't end your journey. It begins a new one that requires more focus, more resilience, more resistance to distractions. So keep the same habits that built the foundation. Don't trade the early mornings for late nights filled with distraction. Don't replace the discipline of preparation with the arrogance of assumption. Don't think the climb is over just because people are clapping. Sometimes applause is just noise. It doesn't always mean you're on track. Learn to celebrate without becoming complacent. Learn to reflect without losing your rhythm. Let your story remind you. Let your pain prepare you. Let your victories humble you. But never let any of it soften you. There's a version of you out there who is sharper, wiser, faster, stronger. That version is waiting on the other side of your next grind. Not your next break, not your next vacation, your next grind. The ones who keep rising are the ones who refuse to be lulled to sleep by their own success. So hustle like you're still climbing. Wake up with urgency. Move with intensity. Show up with gratitude, but don't settle. There's more to do, more to build, more to become. You're not done. You're not finished. And the grind doesn't stop just because people started noticing. You started this journey with nothing but a vision. And that vision carried you when nothing else could. Don't trade it for comfort. Don't dilute it with distractions. Don't slow it down because you think you've got time. Time is moving. Life is shifting. The competition is sharpening. So sharpen yourself. Recommit. Reset. Reignite. Because at the end of the day, the ones who win long-term are not the ones who had the most talent or the best luck. They're the ones who never stopped hustling like they were still climbing. They stayed grounded in discipline, rooted in purpose, fueled by vision. They kept working when others took breaks. They kept grinding when others got soft. They kept pushing when others paused. That's the edge. That's the mindset. That's the way. So don't let success seduce you. Don't let results relax you. Don't let applause silence your hunger. Keep moving, keep growing, keep working like you're broke, because that mindset is the one that built you. And it's the only one that will sustain you through the mountains still waiting to be climbed.